the Union Executive. In this lesson, we shall learn about the structure of Union Executive and the powers of the President. The executive is the part of the government that executes or puts into action the laws passed by the legislature. The Union Executive consists of the President, Vice President, Prime Minister, and Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers consists of the Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, and Deputy Ministers. Being the parliamentary form of government, India has a separate head of state and a separate head of government. President. The head of the state holds the highest office, and it is that of the President of India. The head of government is the Prime Minister. President is bound by the Constitution to follow the advice of the Prime Minister. Qualifications. The qualifications necessary to become the President of India are that a person must be above the age of 35 years and should have all the qualifications necessary to become the member of the Lok Sabha. How is the President elected? The election of the President of India is done through an electoral college consisting of members of both the Houses of Parliament and the legislative assemblies and Legislative Council of all the states and union territories. Term of office. Normally, the President remains in office for a period of 5 years, though he or she can be elected for a second term. The President may resign from office by sending a letter of resignation to the Vice President, who then would forward the letter to the Lok Sabha Speaker. If the President loses the trust of the Parliament, he or she can also be removed from the office through a special process known as impeachment. Powers of the President. The President enjoys the variety of powers. They may be grouped as executive powers, legislative powers, judicial powers, and emergency powers. Executive powers. The President invites the leader of the majority party to form the government and also appoints the Council of Ministers on the advice of the Prime Ministers. He or she appoints the governors of the state, the Attorney General, the Auditor General, the Chief Election Commissioner, ambassadors of India to the countries, judges, and Chief Justice of the High Courts and the Supreme Court. The President is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and appoints the 3 chiefs of the Army, Air Force, and Navy. The President, as a head of state, can declare war or sue for peace and conclude treaties with other countries. But all these powers are exercised at the discretion of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Legislative powers. The President summons the prorogues all the sessions of the Parliament and addresses the first session of the Parliament every year. No bill can become a law without the President's approval and signature. The President declares ordinances when the Parliament is not in session. When there is a deadlock in the Parliament over a particular bill, the President calls for a joint session. The President can dissolve the Parliament on the advice of the Council of Ministers. Judicial powers. The President can reduce or commute death sentence to life imprisonment on receiving a petition for mercy. Emergency powers. The President, on the advice of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, declare a state of emergency. If there is an internal crisis or civil war like situation in the country, if there is an external force threatening the sovereignty of the country, if there is a breakdown in the constitutional machinery of a particular state, in such a situation the President will impose President's rule in the affected state. If there is a threat to the financial stability of the country. That is all in this topic. In the next topic, we will learn about the Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, and Civil Service. Till then, keep learning.